Podcasting is a tough business, but it's days like today that make it all worthwhile. Joining us on the show is a multi-time WWE champion, a WWE Hall of Famer, and he is currently creating quite the buzz on television. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Adam Copeland. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for
Now,
having me.
you will be appearing as Adam Smasher in The Flash. Is there anything you could tell the fans about this role and what to expect?
Well, he's a badass, first and foremost, and looks the part. That was one of the pretty amazing things for me, being a fan of comic books, and, getting a part on a show like this, and then getting out there and putting on the costume and everything, it was pretty surreal. And it was one of those things that when I first kind of, started acting, and then realized that it was a thing that I enjoy and that I wanted to do going forward, I was like, okay, well, I definitely have to be a superhero or supervillain at some point. Otherwise, I won't feel content. And now I can take that off the bucket list, because it was just more than any other character. Obviously, it was more in relation to my wrestling days, because you're supposed to play this larger-than-life character that. Even more so because you can throw around police cruisers and grow to 15 feet tall. But the idea of it is the same, because I've always said wrestling is basically like playing superheroes. It was the same idea, so it was a lot of fun to be able to do.
All right, now that you kind of got your feet wet with the the superhero villain-esque role, would you like to maybe pursue another a part down the line if it ever it came about?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's such a great gig. There's, like wrestling, there's no parameters, there's no boundaries, there's whatever you can imagine can be done. So if your character is written to, like Adam Smasher is, growth to 15 feet tall, it can happen. And anytime that you can do that, I mean, it's great. Especially coming off of Haven for all those years, where I really had to play kind of a pulled-back character who's having to keep a lot close to the vest. Well, this is, like I said, it harkens back to the wrestling days where bigger is better. So anytime you can do that, you feel like a kid in a candy store. So I would definitely be interested in doing more in the future.
After retiring from the ring, you started acting on a more full-time basis. Most notably, you got a lot of work on Haven. Do you go back and watch your performances, and are you critical of your work?
It's kind of the same as I did with wrestling. I'm going to watch it back once, and just that was that. Because I did it, and seeing it back once, I could go, okay. There was also kind of the inner gauge that I started to gain. As I acted more, because at first did that work? Didn't it work? I'm not really sure. So I would ask a lot and just say, how did this look? Or, what could you change there, whether it was, directors or producers or whether it was people on cast. So eventually I started to kind of understand and get that, as I said, that inner gauge where I could tell if something was working. So I don't like to go back and pick it apart and rehash it too much, because you can always find anything. And I don't think anybody at the end of the day is very happy with how they look when a camera is right up in their face. And, you can see, everything. Like, oh, look, my highlights, I was twitching. Great. So like I said, like with wrestling, I watched it once and then move on.
Sure. All right. Now, during your wrestling career, before walking out to the ring, you got yourself pumped up. You had music blaring. You had pyro and an awesome trench coat. How do you get yourself pumped up now before a scene for a show or a movie? Is there anything that you have to do as, like, I don't know, maybe a ritual or something before you get out there on the camera?
That's an interesting question, because it's more difficult. It really is, because there's not that live audience to be able to kind of, hit that vein. You have to be able to do it yourself, and you have to, once they say rolling, you got to dive right back in, and you might have to do it multiple times. So to keep that intensity, or to try something different and maybe not have it quite as intense and show subtle nuances, it's a really interesting tightrope to walk. I've found, if it's like it was with wrestling, I can dip into intensity pretty quickly for whatever reason. as soon as I would usually be doofing around before I went through the curtain. As soon as I went through the curtain, then it was edge. Kind of the same up front with acting, in that you become the character once it's game time. Every once in a while, I'll have one of there's this plant-based energy drink that I drink. If I know it's something that really kind of has to go into an intense area, I'll drink one of those.
All right.
Professional wrestlers are no stranger to starring in movies. Have you gotten to speak with other former wrestlers like The Rock or Batista or even Stone Cold about acting?
No, actually, because usually when we see each other, it's been a couple of years or 3 years or whatever, so you're just like, hey, man, how's it going? You feel good? Yep. And then it's usually at WrestleMania, and everybody gets pulled in 84 different directions. So it's, your buddies first, right? So you just kind of see how everybody's doing and leave it at that.
Sure. Now, what would you consider your WrestleMania moment as far as acting be?
I've definitely had moments where I had to, the character had to get emotional, and those were really big challenges. And then once you kind of hit that challenge and go, okay, I was just able to do that, that feels pretty good. And to have people come up to you and go, wow, you really, as a bigger guy, I just felt for you. I just felt for that character. So that felt like, okay, cool, job done, mission accomplished. If I were to look at it, to be able to share a very intense scene with Daniel Day-Lewis would be, probably the equivalent of, like I said, wrestling Taker in the main event of WrestleMania.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, just recently saw you appear on Stone Cold's podcast live on the WWE Network. You and Christian joked about a possible network show, but could that be a possibility for you down the road?
All depends, really. It depends on scheduling and how much free it would leave for me to be able to still act. It's always great to be able to do stuff with Christian, because we're just idiots who grew up together. So that would be fun. But again, it would have to be something where I'd still be free to do the other things that I'm now focused on. Not that I in any way think that door is closed for me when it comes to WWE or doing things for WWE. But I do try and look at things as, okay, I'm in this season of my life. I'm focusing mainly on this now. I love going back and dipping my toes in and doing things backstage with the New Day, or basically having fun when I go back. And the podcast was fun. And the show with Christian would be fun. But a lot of it would depend on schedule.
Lightning round.
Halloween is right around the corner. What will your costume be this year?
The Cowardly Lion. My daughter will be Dorothy, and we have a little Yorkie who will be Toto, and that will be the Wicked Witch of the West. Yeah.
Let's just say you have one spear left to give out. Who would you decide to spear?
Donald Trump. Hitler. I don't know.
All right. What is one aspect of your wrestling career that you wish you could bring into your acting career?
Probably the storyline with Taker, with Undertaker, because it was for much of it he wasn't on the show, so it was really, I had to carry the thread of the promos with Mick Foley's and these interchanging parts, but Edge was the centerpiece of it, and really got to dip into some maniacal areas, which with Chavo and with Vicky, that was a lot of fun. So I think being able to play a role like that would be really, really interesting.
Do you have a favorite actor or actress?
As I said before, Daniel Day-Lewis, he's a beast. It just, when he's on screen, it changes. Like, everything just changes. But gosh, there's so many people out there that are just doing killer stuff. Just Gordon Levitt. There's so many good actors, and it's those are the first two that popped into my brain. But I know afterwards I'll go, oh, I forgot, yeah, so and so, and forgot so and so. But if I got to go for one person, no matter what, that I always think of as Daniel Day-Lewis.
All right. How about favorite movie of all time?
Oh my gosh. Oh man, that's tough. Wow.
If you could just pick one.
Man, you're killing me. I mean, Godfather is obviously ridiculous. And for different reasons, though, I love The Crow and I love the original Point Break. I just saw Everest the other day, and I was, so tense the entire movie because it was so intense. There's just, kind of anything Tom Hardy is in or anything Daniel Day-Lewis is in. It's tough to put it down to just one.
Do you have any plans to write another autobiography anytime soon?
I don't know. It depends on when the muse hits, and she doesn't always. I wrote half of a book one time when I was out in between, scenes with Haven. I just go back to the trailer at night, and I got about half of it done, and then I got bored. So I don't know. I'm a little bit ADD when it comes to the creative stuff. Like I'll start a painting, and then I'll go write, and then I'll get a part on a show, and then but all of that kind of takes backseat to the baby now. So it's I don't know. The muse will hit again eventually. I'm sure. It's kind of like a tuning fork. Eventually, it will get hit, but I don't have a definitive answer.
All right. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.